Welcome back to yet another solo episode of the Greater WAAAGH, brought to you by One Mind Syndicate. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about the questions, or we're going to be answering the questions that you guys left last week. For all those that don't know, this is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below, put question in front of your question, because we get to those questions first. And, obviously, again, it's just me, and not only is it just me, but there is no video because I did not have access to a camera this week. Scheduling-wise, we haven't been able to meet, and there's been a lot of traveling, so we didn't want to leave you guys with no Greater WAAAGH episode, so I'm gonna have to make do with what I have in front of me and film the Greater WAAAGH episodes the way that you guys see it right now. I could have explained that way better in a completely different way, but I decided to do that. But yeah, let's get straight into the questions. This question comes from LoneGoat81. Do you think the new Primaris models are a little too heavy on the Imperial Creed and the Inquisition aspect? I thought most chapters did not worship the Emperor as a god, nor trust the Inquisition. P.S. The Inquisition was started by Malcador, under the order of the Emperor, to find a group of men and women of an inquisitive nature. Good question. I think that it's a good combination. Lore-wise, I don't see anything that points to the Primaris Marines being so devoted to the ecclesiarchy and so devoted to the Imperial Creed. I think they have an extreme devotion to the actual Imperium, but it does not translate into like them worshiping the Emperor. The Ultramarines are like the poster boys for the Primaris. Whenever we see Primaris anything, we always see the Ultramarines, and the Ultramarines are strict adherent. They have a strict adherence to the Codex Astartes, or they did anyways, and they're not worshiping the Emperor. What I do see is a lot of like iconography and a lot of like positions, like the new model. I forget the model's name, but it's the one with the flat sword. But I do see that guy as like the Imperial Creed kind of creeping into the Primaris and to the Adeptus Astartes. But I think at the end of the day, it's just GW's way of showing that there's been changes throughout these 10,000 years since the Horus Heresy up until the 42nd millennium, and the Imperial Creed is slowly dropping their hints as to like the worship of the Emperor. And then also, even though it was not ever, we don't ever know what Guilliman talked about to the Emperor, because Guilliman, when he was resurrected, he had a conversation with the Emperor when he finally made it to Terra. I don't think we weren't told what he was told by the Emperor, but it could have been a situation of like the Emperor saying like, hey, I am turning into a chaos god. Let them keep worshiping me. You guys keep doing what you're doing and doing what you were designed to do, but just FYI. Turns out that all of this worship stuff that I told you guys not to believe in is working for me. It could have been a conversation like that. And if that's the case, then that's why the Primaris Marines are way more lenient on worshiping the Emperor as a god. Would I like that in the future? I don't think so. I think I like the fact that they are very secular. Like you have the Black Templars who are extremely devout to the Imperial Creed, and because they are extremely devout, they instantly I get a feeling of like, oh, they're kind of dumb. Like they are zealot, and that just screams out like doing things just for doing things' sake. Like it doesn't scream out intelligent warfare. It just screams out passionate warfare, and I think that's kind of stupid. So I hope GW doesn't make them more chapters adherent to the Imperial Creed, but we'll see in the future. And then to continue on, the Inquisition was created by Malcador for the Emperor, and yes, so it was those when he went out and he came back with those 9, but so that part of the Inquisition was designed for attacking chaos, which is why the Grey Knights exist. However, the whole fighting the enemy from within is something that happened during the Reign of Fire later on. So both are true, but they're just two different ordos. So it's the Ordo Hereticus that you're talking about, or it might be I'm talking about the Ordo Hereticus. You're talking about the Ordo Malleus, if I got that right. And then obviously there's the Ordo Xenos. Those are the three major ones. Next question comes from David O'Connor. Do you think Commander Farsight will overthrow the Ethereals and free his people? No, I don't think so. I don't think Commander Farsight really wants to destroy the Tau Empire. I don't even think he wants to destroy the Ethereals. I think what he wants to do is he just wants his people to prosper. But yeah, I don't think that I don't see the rivalry between them. But this is a question that the Sound Alchemist would kind of know a little bit more about because he's read more on Commander Farsight. I think that's his favorite character within the 40K lore. But from the few things that I've read from the Tau Codex, it doesn't seem like Commander Farsight is malicious in that he's trying to kill the Ethereals. I think because of the circumstances, because his Ethereals were killed by the Khorne, I think they were Khorne demons, and then like the whole thing was shattered, and the mind control supposedly was shattered. That's why it acts that way, the way that it is. But no, I don't think he's malicious in that way. Next question comes from Cold Fiest. Could you put enough blanks around the Eye of Terror to close it permanently? No, at that point you wouldn't put blanks, you would just put pylons, which is what the pylons were when they were on Cadia. They were holding back the Eye of Terror. I should say they were holding back the warp and keeping the Eye of Terror the size that it was. Once those pylons were destroyed by Abaddon and him smashing the Blackstone Fortress into Cadia, that's when like the giant rift happened. So yeah, it wouldn't be blanks, it would just be pylons. And we'll see what happens with that whole aspect of it because of the Necrons and the Return of the Silent King. The pylons came from the Necron technology, so we'll see what happens with that. Next question. This question comes from Aaron Schneider. I didn't see a link at the top of the video, so what's up with the Sound Alchemist? So last week, the Sound Alchemist couldn't be with us again, and I told you guys the video at the top of this video would explain everything, but I don't know why GW or YouTube doesn't give you guys the option, or the little video cards don't show up anymore. So what you need to do is I think you need to press the three little dots, and then the three little dots give you like all the links to those videos. So hopefully it works this time. Check. Next question. This question comes from Saw Chef. How do the Grey Knights feel about the Sisters of Silence, and have they ever had to work with them? Also, think we'll get any new Grey Knight models soon? So the Grey Knights and the Sisters of Silence are just two different military factions of the Imperium of Man. Two factions that could work together. It's just kind of tricky because the Sisters of Silence are blinks and they nullify the warp, whereas the Grey Knights are all about using warp powers to fight chaos. So if you have them on the battlefield, just keep them apart so that they don't interfere with each other. There's no way that a blink can control its nullifying effects. It just is. And then will we ever get Grey Knight models? I hope so. Grey Knights. The difficult thing is that Grey Knights all have Terminator armor, or the majority of them have Terminator armor. So we would have to get some type of Terminator Primaris, and I think that's what the Gravis suits are. I think they're called Gravis suits, the big ones, the bulky ones. We'll see in the future. Eventually, yes. Is it going to come soon? I don't know. I don't know how many Grey Knights players there are out there. Next question comes from JBKJ4. How do you make a homebrew Astra Militarum and Tempestus Scion regiment? Could you make a video on it? Yeah, I could definitely make a video on it. That sounds like a lot of fun. If not, just check out our 40 facts on, I think it's called Imperial Guard Regiments. Or I'll put a link in this video to like the one that I'm talking about, but it basically goes through the history of the Imperial Guard and how diverse the Imperial Guard regiments can be. And with that, you can just build off of those little examples that I give you in that video. Again, I'll put a link up at the top of this video. Another thing you could do, Another thing you can do is check out the Iron Sleet team. I found out about this on Instagram. This is a really cool group that runs like campaign style games, and they have you kit bash and homebrew Imperial Guard regiments, Space Marine chapters, basically everything that you can think of. And they do it in a really nice and awesome way where story is king. So like the more important part is building an interesting story for your regiment and then kit bashing to fit that that regiment. So again, Iron Sleet, I think they have a website, so just ironsleet.com. Go check them out. They explain some really cool stuff. Next question. This question comes from Jonas Sigurtheimer. A pleasure planet during the pandemic, ? Since when like Slanesh Nurgle so much? Do Chaos Gods count as brothers, sisters, family? Okay, so we'll answer the first question. So a pleasure planet during a pandemic. Yeah, there could be a pleasure planet that's not controlled by chaos. It's just a straight up pleasure planet. Because again, pleasure planets are just like, think of them as vacation homes for the imperial governors and the important people of the Imperium. They go to that planet to relax and be away from it all. If you have that and then it gets infected by Nurgle, then you have a pleasure planet that's being attacked by a pandemic. And then are the Chaos Gods brothers or sisters? They're not really brothers or sisters like the Greek and Roman mythology paints their gods. They're just made up of the same stuff, which is the Immaterium. But no, there is no relation there. Except for Grandfather Nurgle. He's everybody's grandfather. Next question comes from Colin in Texas. Have you guys realized yet the last lap dance you have had with your last lap dance? COVID life. Let me read that again because I didn't understand anything you just said. Have you realized yet the last lap dance you had will be your last lap dance dance? No, that's not true. COVID is not going to be here forever. I'm pretty sure, I'm hopeful that come next year, we'll be getting technically you could get a lap dance now. You just have to hand sanitize that ass. I don't know. But, this is not going to last forever, guys. Hold in there. Hold in there? Is that the right word? Hang in there. That's the right word. My mind feels like mush, as it always does. This next question comes from Ty Shingleton. Is Lorgar becoming more powerful as chaos spreads across the galaxy since he is powered by all 4 Chaos Gods? He's probably getting more powerful, but I don't think it's because of the Great Rift. I think he's getting more powerful just because he's getting smarter. He's been meditating in that tower. At least I think he's still meditating in that tower. When like a chaos demon or a chaos prince from Undivided is not necessarily stronger than a chaos or a chaos prince or demon from a standalone chaos god. It really comes down to how powerful that person was to begin with. There are times where a chaos champion will be so good that the chaos gods battle for his to give him the boons. And that sounds fun, to give him the boon. And then once they decide, once he goes to one chaos god or all 4, that's when his martial prowess will excel, or his whatever reason that the chaos gods want him. That's when it will showcase, which is why the Primarchs were so coveted by the chaos gods. But the Primarch of the Iron Hands, Perturabo, he's Chaos Undivided. He's not stronger than Chaos Demon, or Chaos Primarch. Hold on, Primarch Prince. No, how Primarch Demon Fulgrim? Yeah, where he's empowered by Slanesh. But yeah. Next question comes from Gideon Kreider. Which Primarch loyalist or traitor would like to be a proprietor for the Mexican Marines? It would have to be somebody that takes a punch, or that can take multiple punches, is really hardworking, and is really good at destroying walls. So, probably Perturabo. Perturabo will be the Primarch that is the descendant of the Mexican Marines. Next question. This one comes from Chicken Waffles. What would happen if an orc attempted to fix the Golden Throne? If it was like a big mech, he would not fix it. He would just try to make it. He would probably make it better, more killy. Right now, the Golden Throne, aside from being a life support system for the Emperor, it also serves as like a place to channel the powers for the Astronomicon from the Emperor. So it goes from the Emperor, Golden Throne, Astronomicon, or it's all part of it. So I think what they would probably do is use that to throw out warp energies or WAAAGH energy. And instead of having the beacon of light through the Immaterium, it would be the beacon of WAAAGH energy just coursing through the galaxy and or through the warp and empowering all of these orc warlords. And we might even get a Gork and Mork manifestation, which would be kind of cool. And also, like, they would probably just kill the Emperor, throw him out, and then either put a war boss in there. Or like if it was a really funny big mech, he would put a Gretchen in his place, and then he would turn the Golden Throne into some sort of a Kilikon or Death Dread, and you would just have a giant Kilikon Death Dread rampaging through Terra, the Emperor's corpse on the ground, and just WAAAGH energy flowing through the galaxy. Thanks to this big mech and probably a weird boy that he hired, or multiple weird boys. Maybe he has to like sacrifice weird boy after weird boy, just like the Imperium has to sacrifice psychers after psychers. That'd be kind of cool. Next question comes from Hyperhedron. Why is it that the Tau do not have the same effect on psychers as blanks? Because blanks nullify the warp, Tau just don't have warp abilities. The way that the book explains it is that the Tau do show up in the warp, but their flame is like someone lit a candle, whereas like humanity is an entire bonfire. So they just don't got it. The Tau are just, they're too small, not enough power to surge through the galaxy, I guess. But yeah, those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Put question in front of your question and ask as if me and the Sound Alchemist will be able to answer those questions next week. Because if everything goes according to plan, we will. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.